What's up, guys? It is so exciting to see all of you for another episode of the Dental Flicks Uncut podcast. I am your host, Dr. Anissa Holmes, and today I have Joe from My Dental SOP, and pretty excited to have him on to talk about one of my most favorite topics is really creating great processes and systems to have what I call forced accountability. And so really excited to have you come on. So I know you guys were at the summit and, it was really exciting to have you guys there and the energy. I know lots of doctors were excited about what you guys are doing. So I would love for you to just kind of just get into it and share a little bit about My Dental SOP. And the thing is that like you've been in dental for a long time. We've known each other for a long time. And so you could be doing anything right now. There's a reason why like you were so committed to, or you made a decision to commit to being a part of this team. So I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit about the company and maybe like why, you're committed to being a part of this particular great new innovation for the dental industry.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I've actually, I've been in dentistry for close to 15 years now. The majority of that has been in the software as a service side of things. I've been involved in actually several back-to-back startup companies that have all become very successful. And some people that are watching this might recognize a couple of them. Probably the most famous one is called LocalMed, which was an online scheduling tool. Got bought by Dental Intel. Obviously very successful overall. But the interesting thing is that all of these different companies I've been involved in have always been on the patient facing side. It's always about, and they always have common threads, right? It's always about efficiency, scalability, productivity. Making sure that everything is as easy and automated as it can be. But again, it's always been on the patient facing side. So online scheduling, getting people in, doing video consults that allow people to raise their case acceptance, different things like that. What I've just learned in the last like 6 months or so is that there's been this like missing piece of the puzzle that's kind of on the back end, the practice side, which is the standard operating procedures. Like you have all these great tools and there's a million of them out there. Everybody knows you have to, you have like 10, 15 different things that are helping run the practice. But how do you keep everybody on track for what they're supposed to be doing and how to operate within those different tools? And this is really, so My Dental SOP is really kind of, I've discovered, is kind of the glue that holds all that together. In a nutshell, My Dental SOP is the first and only system in the dental space that takes all of the standard operating procedures at a practice and digitizes them, organizes them, and consolidates them so they become instantly accessible by anybody in the practice. It also automates training for current employees and for new hires. Automates about 90% of the onboarding process up until the point where they're like physically we can't automate the shadowing part, but all the administrative stuff up until then. So it saves a ton of time and money, and more importantly, it makes sure that everybody's doing things the way that the practice wants them to be done. Even if, let's say, when they were in, on like doing their training, it's each person that was there had to train with different people, right? Well, this standardizes all of that. So even if somebody wasn't there on a given day, it allows everybody to become self-sufficient. They can look up how to do something at the click of a button. It's just like using Google. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I'd love for you to kind of just go a little bit deeper as it relates to the importance of SOPs or how it can help with onboarding new team members, right? And the reason why is oftentimes what I hear from practices that are within our coaching programs, or when I'm speaking at conferences or events, or when I'm doing training, is I know, I've got the wrong people. I know I've got people that I need to, as Dalla Toro said at our conference, say peace and goodbye to, right? Because they're just like not really there to really help the practice hit their impossible goal. But the reason why we hang on is because honestly, we're tired, we're exhausted, we can't bother. We don't have the energy to go through this whole thing again, right? And so it's like, oh my gosh, if I get somebody else and now I'm going to have to take my physical time and I'm going to have to train them, or my team is already busy doing all of the things with all, we're already short staff. And then now to take them off of that to train them. And like, we just freeze, right? And we just kind of stay where we are. But when we look at, for example, a McDonald's, right? Like McDonald's is not worried at all, right? When a 16-year-old says, I'm out, peace and goodbye, right? Because I'm like going on to like the next thing. Why? Because, McDonald's has got pictures. So they can hire someone who doesn't have very much training or education or life experience even to be able to look at a picture and make a hamburger, and makes the same hamburger all over the world, right? And the reason why is because they've got processes that are documented. And so the biggest, Chick-fil-A is another one, right? And we know about their customer service and how great of a company that they are, right? So I think that my personal belief, right? And it is true to me. Maybe it's not the truth, but I think it is, right? Is that we really want to start putting emphasis, priority, and focus actually on building onboarding processes that are now documented. And so now the new hires can go in and they can say, oh, this is how we do it. And the process or the system actually trains them instead of taking all of your physical time.
Yeah, so several really key points in there. First of all, everybody thinks that there's this big hiring crisis, and I mean, like, there's, let's be honest, there's a labor shortage hiring crisis. The ADA also says that it takes an average of $15,000 to between the recruiting, the hiring, and the training of a new like dental assistant, and that's just one person. So if you have turnover, you're losing, let's say, one person a year. It's 15 grand a year, plus all the time and energy that you're talking about. Like, we're tired. We have all this stuff going on. Oh God, I got to take my time. I got to take the office manager's time. Where do those people go when they have questions? The interesting thing though is that the ADA also surveyed team members that had left after 1 year. And the most common thread between their answers, if I remember correctly, it's 56% of all of the employees that were surveyed after leaving after 1 year essentially said that they did not feel that they were set up for success. It's not that they didn't want to do their job or do it well. They didn't have the tools in place to do it, right? They go into the office and everybody's short-staffed. So they're trying to figure out how to do something. They have only a certain number of people to ask. Those people are also busy. So, it's frustrating. I have my wife is actually going through this. She's not in a dental practice, but she's at a new job right now, and part of the struggle there is that they don't have all these things documented. So she feels like a burden going and asking people questions that maybe she should have just been onboarded with, kind of in the first place. So to your point, when you can actually standardize all of these onboarding processes, not just like the new hire paperwork, like the W-4s and the I-9s and the confidentiality agreement and the employment agreement and all that. Like, that's all good and dandy, but that's just kind of the administrative stuff. But what about the actual processes, how we do different things? Do you have how-to videos? Do we have explanatory? Like, a lot of people have a binder. One of the things that I always ask people when I'm doing a demo with a dental practice, one of the first things I ask is like, do you have standard operating procedures right now? And the answer is usually like, yeah, kind of, or yeah, it's a work in progress. And I'll go, okay, so where do you have like where does somebody go if they have a question? And usually the answer to that is what, and then talking to the doctor or the office manager, they go, well, it's usually me. I'm like, all right, do you have like a binder? Do you have a book? Oh, well, yeah, we have a binder. There's always a binder, right? And it's sitting in the back on a shelf somewhere collecting dust. And usually somewhere near there are a bunch of sticky notes. And there's probably also policies hung up on the wall. And then there's an iTero scanner, and there's a little booklet, sitting next to that. And then there's a Google Drive, there's Dropbox, there's some things in a Word document they've been just adding stuff to, because it's a quote unquote work in progress, but the work in progress has been going on for 5 years, so they don't have any of this stuff. So the cool thing is you can actually take all of that and consolidate it into one place and organize it in a way that allows you to make it instantly accessible to everybody and assign individual learning paths. So let's say that you have sort of a standard onboarding for every single employee, that everybody has to go through this policy, this handbook, this training, or maybe this series of training videos, whether it's homemade, like somebody took it on an iPhone and uploaded it into the system, or it's stuff like maybe there's a module that they want to put in there for HIPAA compliance. Everybody has to do HIPAA compliance before they, if they haven't been certified in a year. So you get all that stuff kind of in one place. then you can also create individual, at least in our platform, you can create individual modules or training paths that are relative to each role. So you can have a different one for like a dental assistant versus a dental hygienist versus an office manager, front desk, back office, maybe another doctor even. And each of those things are not relevant to everybody at the practice. So you kind of get the standard module that's assigned to everybody, and then the role specific stuff that you assign based on who it is that you're hiring. But again, to your other kind of later point, now everybody gets the same standard of onboarding care, so to speak, right? It's not like, somebody comes in, let's say they were hired today versus somebody that's hired in 2 weeks, another month from now. And it's relative to who's there that they're learning from. And all the people that are in the practice have different experiences. They were all onboarded differently. They also might have different backgrounds in different dental practices. This one worked at Heartland for 20 years. This one only worked at a really boutique-y, high-end, aligners office, and that's all they did, or full arches, right? So they might have different interpretations of how things should be done. Well, how do we get all that, kind of get everybody on the same page? We consolidate it all and standardize it so that every new employee has the exact same standard when they're coming in. Now, what they do from there, as far as shadowing everybody, obviously you're going to pick up different things from everybody else, but you have one central kind of source of truth to be able to reference at any time. This is what I talk about when, like if becoming self-sufficient. Let's say the office manager, I always use the example, wins the lottery and disappears tomorrow. Well, what does everybody do? Well, this gives you the ability to be self-sufficient. It literally becomes like the Google for your practice. You can type in payment policy, in Itero, insurance verification, right? Like you can type in anything you wanted to pull up exactly whatever that thing is so that they can look that up on the fly, which, just to drone on a little bit more, is so much better than having like a binder and all these different things in the back. Because think about what happens right now. Somebody has a question when they're handling a patient at the front desk. Hold on one moment. Let me go walk into the back room, find the binder, first of all, that's probably hasn't been touched in months or years. Table of content. Where do I think this is getting? Okay, let's flip to that. Is it there? Like, nobody's going to do that. That's why you don't have compliance, even if you do have SOPs. So you make it instantly accessible, something that's open on their computer all the time. They can type in whatever they want, and you'd be amazed how much smoother a practice can run.
That's really, really awesome. So how long does it take a practice once they reach out to you? How fast can they start accessing the portal, like building their processes, or their things that are already like ready to go for them? Like, what does that look like?
Typically, we can have somebody fully up and running in 48 hours, 72 if they're like a really huge practice with a ton of stuff that we got to import. But if somebody's going to work with My Dental SOP, basically we do 2 phone calls. The first one is to kind of get access to everything that they have. We call it the customization call. And we want to make everything like want to get their logo and their colors so we can brand it and make it look like it's actually their platform. But then we do all the work importing all of their SOPs. So again, if they have stuff in, like, let's say Google Drive or Dropbox, or they have it in different files in the computer, they're going to hopefully give us access or send us all of those things. If they have a physical manual like a book or a binder, they can actually mail it to us. We can digitize it and put it all in there for them. Typically, with a general practice, that takes us about 48 hours to do. But once all that's done, next thing we do is actually use AI to create what we call pre-assessments. A lot of people in the business world would know this as a knowledge gap assessment. So once we have all of that data, all of their SOPs already imported, we're gonna basically create these knowledge gap assessments to kind of get a baseline for where everybody's at right now. So hopefully the person that's been there for 20 years is going to know a lot of the answers, and somebody who's been there for, like, let's say 6 weeks is not going to know as many and might need a little bit of work. But this tells us exactly where everybody's knowledge level lies. In fact, if a practice doesn't have any standard operating procedures, we actually have a library of kind of templated content that they can use as a framework to build it all out. So anyways, it takes us about 48 hours to do all that and create those pre-assessments. Then we do the team training call, which usually is like under an hour, where we get everybody on and kind of show them what to do and how to use it, create the logins for everybody. It's very point and click. One of the very cool and easy and really important things of this is everybody gets their own login individually, so you can track what everybody's doing, what they have access to, and hold them accountable to it. But that whole process takes typically like 48 hours for us to do, and then the practice is live and they're just using it.
Awesome. So now you probably have some people's attention, right? I'd love for you to share a little bit about, like, what's the next steps if they're like, okay, I want to have a call, I want to have a demo. Like, what's the next steps, like, for people to reach out, connect, and kind of take the next step to move forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say the easiest way is just going right to our website. There's a button on there. You can book a demo with me. A demo of the platform takes about 8 minutes start to finish. So it's super easy, non-committal. We could do it over lunch. We could do it before hours, after hours, or whenever works for you. But the website is exactly what you think it would be, mydentalsop.com. SOP as in standard operating procedure. So mydentalsop.com. You can also email me, Joe, at mydentalsop.com, or give me a call. Phone number is 708-866-0437. I had to look at my sticky note to remember that. But yes, so setting up a demo is super easy to do. If somebody does want to move forward, we can get them the agreement in the same day. And then, like I said, it's typically like 48 hours to be completely live. And I'd like to throw in there the caveat that it is very, very flexible, muted myself somehow. I don't know what I did there. Even though it takes only 48 hours to get everything set up initially, they actually do have the flexibility to go in and add stuff or change stuff whenever they want. It's as easy as editing like a Word doc or a Google document. So if you wanted to like create a module for anything that you're doing, if you have any, like for your practice management software, say you're using Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental, all those FAQs and manuals can be imported into here. Any third-party software you're using, something for reviews, something for scheduling, something for analytics, all that stuff can be put in there. So it only takes 48 hours, but you can continue adding stuff forever as long as you want.
I love it, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on and bringing all of this positive information and positive energy to everyone. And guys, I highly encourage you to go ahead and just have a look, have a peek. And like I said before, this really is the core of every business. There's no way that you're going to be able to scale to the next level without having processes that are documented. Otherwise, things are slipping through the cracks. There's a ton of bottlenecks and a lot of mistakes that are happening. And so I'm a huge fan of building out SOPs and really having them documented. And this is a great solution. So again, Joe, thank you so much for coming on. And for those who are listening, thank you so much for taking time to tune in to another episode of the DentalFlix Uncut podcast. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Anissa.
You've just unlocked valuable insights with DentalFlix Uncut. But there's more. DentalFlix is not just a podcast. It's a thriving community, a hub of knowledge, and the #1 online streaming CE platform in dentistry. With just a few clicks, you can start exploring a wealth of resources, including in-depth training on leadership, case acceptance, scheduling, hiring, weekly marketing calls, insightful gap assessments, and scorecards, all designed to help you master what you discovered today and propel you further on your path to dental excellence. Head to dentalflix.com to get started for free and embark on your journey towards mastery. Thanks for tuning in to DentalFlix Uncut. See you next time.